Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing really well and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome. I'm Shannon and I'm a pet portrait and wildlife artist and I specialise in coloured pencils, and today I'm going to do a little draw with me video. I haven't sat down and filmed a specific draw with me video for a little while and I thought it would just be nice to come on here and chat to you. I sort of came up with a bit of a topic for this video, to be honest, because something that I'd like to share my thoughts and ideas on, I suppose, and that is about what it takes to be a professional artist. Now I'm going to talk about it more from a pet portrait and wildlife artist point of view, but of course this could probably apply to a lot of different artists with different specialities. And yeah, I just thought I would share some thoughts and sort of some tips, I suppose, on what I believe are some key characteristics of someone who is more likely to succeed as a professional artist. So first of all, I just wanted to say a huge thank you for being so kind on my last weekly studio vlog. I was really nervous to put it up because of some of the news that I was sharing in it, and I honestly felt sick to my stomach. I really wasn't expecting everyone to be so kind and lovely, so yeah, I really appreciate that, thank you. But yeah, I just wanted to pop that in there before I go ahead and start chatting to you while drawing this lovely barn owl that is a commission that I'm doing. So this is what I've been working on this week, and I've been using mostly Faber Castell Polychromos pencils to draw this, and I've been throwing in a few Caran Luminance pencils as well. So yeah, those are the pencils that I've been using, and the paper is the Canson Moulin de Roy hot pressed watercolour paper, and it's one that I tested in my testing papers video that you can also find on my channel. And I used to use the Fabriano Artistico hot pressed watercolour paper for years until they changed the texture of it, and so I've been on a bit of a mad paper hunt ever since, and this is really good. It's not all that dissimilar, so I'm really enjoying it. It's the closest that I've found that replicates the feel of it. So that's everything that I'm using. I'll leave the links to all of the different tools that I use down below, like my pencil sharpeners and extra stuff like that, because yeah, I always tend to leave those at the bottom of the description box, so go and check that out. But back to the topic of this video, which is what does it take to be a professional artist? And I think because I've been doing this now for coming up to about 6 years since I left my full-time job, started on this journey to becoming a full-time artist. It's something that I've been doing on the side for a lot longer than that though, so I've been doing this for honestly years, like as long as I can remember at this point, to be honest. So yeah, I feel like I've sort of learned a lot about what it takes to be a professional artist, because let's be honest, this kind of creative path of self-employment isn't for everyone. I think a lot of people would struggle with this sort of work and find comfort in having a stable, regular, sort of normal, quote-unquote, job. So yeah, it definitely takes a certain type of person to put their faith into this kind of career path and stick with it. So I just thought I would share some of the things that I believe are important if you'd like to become a professional artist. So first of all, I think it's gonna come as no surprise that I think you need to be well practiced in your craft. So like I said, I'm a coloured pencil artist, and that's pretty much what I've been doing since I started on this journey with pet portraits and wildlife art. I've always used coloured pencils, or at least pencils. I started out with graphite and moved into coloured pencils, but it's something that I've practiced a lot over the years. And I say you need to be well practiced because you need to have the confidence that you can handle pretty much anything that's thrown at you. Of course, there's going to be times when you turn something down because you don't think that you'll be able to fulfill the needs of the client, but you need to be confident in your abilities, and you can't be a one-trick pony because you've only practiced one type of artwork or one type of subject, or you know, whatever it is. So you need to put the hours in and do the practice to become sort of a master of your craft, and that's really going to give you a good foundation to become a successful professional artist. I did so many different types of drawings that I wasn't being paid for it back in the day because I'd just practicing in my spare time. Sort of the idea that you want to build up your portfolio and try different styles, different subjects, different challenges, and just become the best that you can be. Even to this day, I'm still learning and I'm still improving my skills, but you need to be well practiced, and it's not something that's going to happen overnight, and it's not something that you're born with. I know that people are born with talents. I'll be honest, I think I've always naturally been good at drawing, but then I sort of look back and I'm like, was I naturally good at drawing because I started just doing it anyway and realised that I became good at it quite young? I wouldn't have got to this point if I hadn't practiced and refined my skills and sort of learned how to do different techniques. And no matter how naturally talented you are, you're always going to have to practice. So yeah, it's super important that you put the hours in and you're experimenting and becoming the best that you can be. And it also opens up more opportunities for you on what sort of commissions you can accept. So for example, if you can't draw white dogs or white animals, that's a whole category of things that you're going to have to turn down. So I think it's important to practice the things that you struggle with and then become better at them, and yeah, then you've got more opportunities that can come your way that you can say yes to. So that's the first thing, that you need to be well practiced. For anyone that's wondering, I'm just using the burnt umber pencil from the Polychromos at the minute, and I'm just adding some shading into the wings. But yeah, secondly, I think it's important to be a good all-rounder. So yeah, it's important that you're well practiced in your craft, but that's only the tip of the iceberg really. You need to be good at a lot more than just your art style. You need to have a decent business head on you, which is something that you can learn. I'm not naturally super business headed. You need to have an idea of like what's a good decision and what's a bad decision, or at least know when something's not working and you need to change what you're doing. I think that's what having a good business head is for a professional artist, like seeing what's working, seeing what's not, and using that to your advantage to make sure that you're on the right track. I also think it is very important to be all right with technology. Okay, you don't need to be incredible at using computers and softwares and hardwares and all that kind of stuff, but I do think you need computer literacy to an extent, because it helps so much. The amount of times that I've run into an issue and I've been able to solve it because I'm all right with computers or printers, or you know, designing my greeting cards for example, like I've been able to do that sort of stuff because I've learned how to use these systems and softwares and stuff. So yeah, I think if you can improve your computer skills, I think that will put you in a really good position to be a successful professional artist. Like, obviously these are all my opinions and it might not have to necessarily be so for everyone, but overall it's things that will help you if you're able to focus on them a little bit more. You have to have a bit of a business head, you have to be all right with computers, and you also need to be quite organised. So this is something that I do struggle a little bit with, but I do put a lot more effort into it because of that. Yeah, you need to be able to organise your day in a way that's making good use of your time. You don't want to be wasting time. One thing that's really valuable to any small business owner, self-employed person, even an employed person, like everyone, is the ability to manage your time efficiently and to get things done in a way that doesn't take up your whole day. So yeah, organisation is key. I also think you need to have a bit of originality about you. Okay, I'm not trying to say like be something completely new and different no one's ever seen before, because I'm not reinventing the wheel here. I don't feel like I'm doing anything overly out there or unique, but you've got to have your own sort of spin on things and think for yourself, use your own initiative to come up with new ideas or new slants on the same ideas, but that gives you a bit of an edge against other people. So yeah, I think it's important to be able to think for yourself, not only for coming up with new ideas, but for solving problems. Like the amount of problems that I come across in my day-to-day life as a professional artist. And yeah, you can ask people for help and you can, you know, find an expert that knows more about it, but I think sometimes you need to be able to try and figure stuff out for yourself as well. Like, the amount of technical problems that I encounter is ridiculous, so being able to sort of try and figure out those issues and not get too stressed over it and use like critical thinking to solve the problem is going to be so useful to you as a professional artist. I'm being quite vague with these because it can apply to so many different scenarios, but I just wanted to throw a few suggestions out. So the next one is the ability to adapt. This is really important with the way things are at the minute because everything is constantly changing. Social media is always changing. There's new algorithms. People shop differently. The pandemic completely changed the way that people shopped and behaved, and everything's always changing. So we need to be very forward thinking and be looking at trends and adapt our business so that it doesn't fall behind and we end up giving it all up and going back to just a normal day job. I see it all the time where artists sort of announce that they're going to be closing down the shop, you know, things aren't going well, and because they've not been getting enough online sales, that's it, like they can't do this anymore. Obviously I see where they're coming from because times are really hard at the minute, but I do feel like often there are other things that you can try and do first. You can adapt to your business model, do things differently, and you might be able to carry on doing what you're doing just in a different way. So obviously people have different circumstances, but I do think that being able to adapt sometimes can help you out, and there's usually ways around things. So yeah, being able to adapt is very important. Also within the same category as this is not relying on one income stream, because when something like that does happen, you know, you're not getting enough online sales, so you've got no income. That is where having more than one income stream is super important. I used to rely just on commissions, which looking back now I'm like, wow, no wonder I was constantly anxious and worried that this might be my last commission, or, you know, worrying about getting any more work in. If you've got a variety of different income streams, you're going to have more longevity because you've got money coming in from different places. If one of them fails, then you've still got the others to rely on while you work on building something else up. I do a variety of different things. I do commissions, which is what I started with in the first place. I do YouTube, where I make videos like this and where I do tutorials and vlogs and stuff. And I do Patreon, which is a platform that you can subscribe to, and I do more tutorials on there. And then I do other things like my Etsy and my online shop, which doesn't bring in heaps of money, I'll be honest. It's more of a marketing platform to me, which is a whole other video in itself. But having a variety of different money sources is going to be so beneficial to you. And the amount of peace that you can have knowing that, okay, if this goes wrong, I've got this other thing to rely on, is just invaluable. I think it's one of the most important things as a professional artist, to not put your eggs in one basket and rely on one thing and one thing only. Because I know a lot of people are purely commission-based artists, and some people do really well with it and they've got their books full for the next 2 or 3 years, which is great. But then what happens if you break your arm and you can't draw anymore or paint anymore? What do you do then? So it's just having different ways of making money that doesn't rely on one thing. It's also the difference between passive and active income as well. So commissions are a very active income because, for example, with this, I do this one piece and I probably won't make prints from it because it's a piece that somebody's paid a lot of money to have made especially for them. So I'm going to be making money off this one piece. Whereas with Patreon, I can upload a tutorial every couple of months, however long it takes me to do a full tutorial series. And once that's on there, an endless amount of people can use that content. And yeah, YouTube and Patreon are kind of like evergreen platforms because you make the thing once and then that can then be used forevermore until, I don't know, people aren't interested in learning to draw anymore, or I don't know, when you die one day. That's more of a passive income. However, it's not fully passive because you still have to put the work in up front. But once the work is done, that's there forever and you can make more money off it in the future. So yeah, I would recommend not just relying on active income alone. So having multiple income streams will help you to become a more successful artist who's more likely to stand the test of time. So yeah, my next point is that discipline is more important than motivation. A lot of the time people say like, how do you stay motivated working for yourself at home all day every day? And it's a really good question because, as you can imagine, it is hard when you don't have colleagues or a boss that's telling you that you need to do things or someone giving you a little kick up the backside. It is hard to stay motivated, and a lot of the time I don't feel super motivated. A lot of the time I do. I get up and I'm like, right, let's smash it, let's do today, let's make it a good one and get loads of stuff done. And I put some music on and I'm really motivated, I'm in a good headspace and I can crack on. But some days I wake up and I'm just like, oh, I don't even know where to start today. And to be honest, that's a lot of days, because there's nobody telling me what to do. I don't have a boss that gives me a list of things. Sometimes I wish that I did. It would make things a lot easier. This is why I say that discipline is more important than motivation. So getting out of bed and coming in and turning my studio lights on and sitting down and getting stuff done, despite whether I'm feeling really motivated, is so much more important, because it's the ability to just carry on and get things done when you're not feeling super up to it. And that's the same in any job or any industry. You just need to be really disciplined. It would be so easy for me to roll out of bed at 10 o'clock, come in and do a few hours and then be like, right, that'll do for the day. It's fine, I'll just go and watch some TV now. But the discipline inside me says, no, don't do that. Get yourself up early, get things done, and feel like you've really achieved something today. That's the kind of mindset that I like to use. So yeah, you need to be disciplined, and even when you're not feeling up to it, you need to be able to just pull yourself together and crack on. That's not to say though that you can't have off days where you're not feeling great, you've got low energy, all you want to do is sit on the sofa. Like, of course, everyone has those days, but on the whole, you just need to push through and have a bit of discipline. A lot of the times, I really struggle to build myself up to doing a bit of filming. So that is an area that I have to be super disciplined with, because otherwise I'd just be like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll pick up the camera tomorrow, it's fine. But I sit myself down and I say, no, if you do that, you're just going to keep leaving it and keep putting it off. Do it now. Get it done and you will be better off for it. So I have to give myself a little bit of a pep talk every now and then, but that's fine. It's just part of being a professional artist. You have to sit yourself down and have a good word with yourself sometimes. So yeah, it's about being able to do the things you enjoy and the parts of it that you don't enjoy. It'll all benefit you in the long run. And also, it takes a long time to build up a business like this. It's a very slow burn kind of business, being an artist, because you're sort of waiting to get discovered, for people to know who you are, to establish yourself, and that does not happen overnight. Trust me, it's taken me years and years to get to the point that I'm at now. I think it's easy to discover somebody 6 years into the business and be like, oh wow, they've done everything and I've never heard of them before, so they must have done it like really quickly. And it's like, no, a lot of the time people have been doing this for years and years, whether it's behind the scenes or before anyone knew who they were really. And yeah, you don't really see that side of it that often. It takes a lot of discipline to keep at something that long when the growth is so small and slow. So yeah, that's where being super disciplined will help you to be more successful. I'm just using dark sepia now from the Polychromos, and I'm adding a bit more shading into the wing patterns. This has been one of the hardest commissions that I've done for a while, because of all the little details and like all these little bits here that I've not quite finished off. I decided that I'm gonna do the whole wing and add the details once everything's sort of mapped in, because I can get an idea of what everything's looking like. I usually do one tiny section at a time, but sort of doing it a little bit differently with this one. That is something to remember, that often it's a very slow burn when it comes to creative businesses like this. Sometimes people have a lot of luck and they'll go viral on Instagram or TikTok or whatever, and they'll suddenly have thousands and thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of followers very quickly. And in that case, they're so incredibly lucky, although, you know, it's always the question, are they lucky or have they just got the knack and they've figured out exactly what it is they need to do? I think there's an element of both. On the whole, becoming an artist is very slow burn, and you need to have the discipline to stick at it even when things don't seem to be going great or growing as quickly as you want them to. So staying with the sort of idea that it takes a long time to reach any sort of success as an artist, I've been doing this in my spare time for years and years and years, and it's only in the past 6 years that I've been taking it seriously and I've been seeing it as a full-time job. I've had part-time jobs and I've done freelance work and other bits to keep me stable along the way, which again is another really important part of becoming a professional artist. Don't be afraid to do what you need to do to free up your time and sort of try and grow it a little bit more quickly. I think a big part of having done this for so long and taking that leap, perhaps having a little bit of delusion. I think you need to be a little bit delusional in the sense that you really believe that you're going to be able to do this. And if you don't believe in yourself, then you are never going to be able to stick at being a professional artist, because, okay, on the whole, people are really, really nice. Don't get me wrong, like customers are lovely, clients who book commissions are lovely, people who comment on Facebook and Instagram posts generally are really nice, but you also get those who, no matter what you do, it's like they're just not happy with the work that you've delivered. They might be a little bit critical to your work, they might give you unwanted criticism that you didn't ask for. But I think the more that you put yourself out on different platforms, the more likely that is going to happen. I'm not trying to scare you, obviously, like it doesn't happen much. Mostly people are really nice, but my point is that you need to be so confident in yourself that that isn't going to stop you doing what you want to do. You can't let one little comment or a client who has been really difficult with a commission to put you off doing this. So that's why you need to be a little bit delusional, really confident in your abilities. You have to be able to vision yourself doing the things you want to do, say in 5 years' time. Like, I've always got a vision of my future in my head, and it's usually quite optimistic. I see myself with, like, you know, a lovely countryside house with this big studio, with regular work coming in, doing it in my 40s, you know. I have to be delusional and see those things in my future, otherwise I'm not going to manifest it into real life. I have to admit, I'm not a huge believer in this manifestation thing. Like, I do think some of it is just to sell books and courses and all that kind of stuff, but I do think there's an element of truth to it. You have to be able to envision these things strong enough in your mind that you are going to work towards it no matter what setback you get, you are going to continue. That's not to say that if things are going really, really badly and you've tried absolutely everything that you possibly could try and not a single person is interested in your work, maybe it's time to consider whether what you're doing is the right path for you. But one thing that I sort of kept saying to myself when I first started was, okay, I'm not a huge artist right now, I've had a few clients, I've done a few portraits, but the demand is out there. People are loving what I'm doing, they're enjoying seeing it on social media, they're commenting really nice things, people are really supportive, and while that is only a very small group of people that are supporting me, if I just find more of those people, I'm bound to be successful, because if you've got a very small group who are really, really loving what you're doing, but you're just struggling to get out there, you're guaranteed you're going to be able to find more people. It's just the finding people part. So yeah, I suppose it's almost like if you was to do a focus group and you found that people were loving what you were doing, that's a good indicator that more people are going to love what you're doing. Does that make sense? I suppose what I'm trying to say is, if you've been sharing your work for a long time and you get next to no interest whatsoever, maybe you need to change up what you're doing. But if you are getting a lot of interest and people are really passionate about what you're doing, then it's a good sign that you're doing something right, and you just need to find a way of getting your work in front of even more of those people. Yeah, it's important to believe in yourself, be a little bit delusional. Don't make silly decisions and quit your full-time job when you haven't even got any evidence that anyone likes what you're doing. Be very wise about what you do, but also you've got to have a little bit of crazy self-belief. And then this sort of leaves nicely with my last point. You have to have the self-belief, but you also have to really, really want this. So I worked in industry after uni for about a year and a half, and I realised fairly quickly that that just wasn't for me. And I knew in my gut, in the very core of me, I just knew that this was for me and it's what I really wanted to do, and I was going to do absolutely everything I could to make that a possibility. So you have to be really passionate, you have to want this enough to carry on with it. Like I said earlier, you see people do these posts like, I'm not going to be able to carry on with the business, I just don't think my heart's in it anymore. And that's fair enough. If your heart's not in it, then don't carry on doing it. But if your heart is in it and it's what you really want to do, you will find a way to make your dream come true. So whether that's coming home after work and doing 2 or 3 hours of drawing or painting or sculpting, whatever it is that you do, and staying up till 9-10 o'clock at night, if you have to do that for the first 6 months to a year in order to become a professional artist, then yeah, that's what you've got to do. And that's what I did for a long time. I'd come home from working in Liverpool, so I used to commute about an hour and a half to work every day. A lot of the time it was longer because of blooming roadworks and stuff, but yeah, I'd be exhausted after that, and then I'd come home and I'd do some commission work because it's what I really wanted to do. And obviously everyone has such different lives. I think if you've got kids, you've got a family, it makes it a lot harder. And I don't think I would have been able to do this easily. I don't want to say easily because it's not been easy, but I would have struggled if I had kids and I was trying to do this. So yeah, obviously within reason, within your own circumstances. If you do have the spare time to do something like this and it's what you dream of doing, then you've just got to keep at it. You've just got to keep doing what you're doing. Don't give up. And just consider yourself so lucky that you do have the time to commit to something like this, because a lot of people don't, unfortunately, and they'll dream of doing something like this and they'll never be able to do it because they just don't have the time. They might be working 2 jobs, and yeah, it is hard. It's really hard. I was lucky that I was not so long out of uni. I'd been working full-time for a couple of years almost, and I didn't have any major commitments, so I was able to just go all in and have a go at it. I was living with my mum and dad. I had a few things to pay for, but nothing crazy, so I was able to just give it my all and take the risk. But yeah, not everyone's able to do that. But yeah, if it's something that you love, then you will find a way to do it eventually. Might take you a little bit longer, but you'll get there. I believe in you. So yeah, I just thought I would share some of my thoughts about what does it take to be a professional artist. Do let me know if you have any questions about anything down below, if there's anything you'd like me to elaborate on in more detail. I am just adding some more depth into some of these feathers. But yeah, I wouldn't change what I do for the world. I hope that my passion for doing it comes across in the videos, because it truly is like, I don't know, it sounds a bit cheesy, but I feel like it's my calling in life to be doing this. And I don't know what I would be doing if I wasn't. I suppose I'd probably be in marketing again, or I don't know what I'd be doing. But I'm very fortunate that I've been able to sustain it for as long as I have. And yeah, I'm able to just keep doing what I love. And I think you've always got to be learning every day, whether that's learning how to become a better artist, better at drawing, or whether it's learning to be better at designing things or marketing yourself. You've always got to be improving yourself. The work never stops. So yeah, I hope you have enjoyed this random draw with me video. Do let me know if you've got any questions for a future one, because I do like to add a bit more value to these now than just chatting about random stuff. So please give this video a like if you enjoyed it, because it really does help the channel out. Subscribe to see more videos like this, and I shall see you in the next one. So bye for now.